Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and thank you for stopping by once again. The report from Panama, the written report, is out in PDF form. If you were registered at the retirementwave.com or subscriber at retirementwave.com, then you have received your copy. If for any reason you haven't, or you're not a subscriber over there, then I just go down to the description below this, and there's a link directly to download that report. And it's really been, so far, quite popular. And I hope that stays to be the same for times to come. Just a couple comments I hadn't mentioned. I was trying to get across the message in this report that although there's been wild ups and downs in people's attitudes toward Panama, closing the mine or the demonstrations, the young adults and so forth, people are just so over-energized outside this country that everything that goes on in here they think is something really horrific, and it's not. It's a very calm place. So, among other things, I showed examples of how even with all the financial problems we faced with the canal, the mine, and everything else, that the country still continues to grow. It's just growing too slowly for our purposes and our taste, because it's been much faster in the past. But that's there. I mean, that's the case. We have a very solid operation behind us, and it's the canal, and that makes a huge difference right there. Although losing other things does hurt, and there's no question about that. So we're working on it, and we're getting along okay, but it's not perfect for everybody. Keep that in mind. So we have a lot of work to do, and of all times to have to reform a Social Security system, which, like so many of those all over the world, is in debt and needs to get that taken care of. And a lot of work's going into this, and a lot of consultation with the public, and I've not seen this much transparency in this country in ages. And it's very interesting to see it. Very interesting. And the multiple parties and different groups and different opinions that have been brought in to deal with this. I mean, wow. Okay, that's good. Now, a couple other little factors in here just to toss out. I could have done those, but I didn't want to waste any more time on them. One sign that things were really bad here would be the international firms, or global firms really, that take advantage of a special law passed in 2007. It gives them all sorts of benefits if they set up a major league operation here in offices, and they have, or in some cases, manufacturing. But the point is that they have to be large businesses by our standards, which with millions or tens of millions of dollars of revenue and so on, and they have to go through a vetting process. But if they succeed, and then they get to have office space over there, they get a lot of help. They have their own separate visa officer who takes care of the visas of their, because they have constant people going in and out, in and out, in and out in these global firms. And also allowing for a larger number of foreigners to be employed there in one form or another at various times. Again, and it's all worked out with each company. So, and it has worked very well, and it exploded right out the start back then. And the day comes we start losing these, and our number starts going down. Well, that would be a bad sign. It might not be us; it might be the whole world's economy. But it's not happening yet. And so we only picked up 7 last year, for a total of 189. But we went up by 7, 2 of them just in the last couple months. So not bad. No, we're not complaining about that, but 189 of them, and that are not all of the international firms. Others are here, but they have smaller operations. They don't qualify for these benefits. A lot of things, plus a lot of individuals who run Airbnbs and all sorts of things here don't show up in this at that size. So you're only talking about a portion of them, but they're big. And let's see, what do I have here? Oh, yeah, and the Canal Authority has just announced that it's giving thought to, or serious thought. When the canal announces something, it usually means they're going to do it. But anyhow, they're talking about setting up a oil pipeline across, beside the canal and across the isthmus here, for petroleum and petroleum products like gasoline, things of this sort that can go by pipeline, as a good complement to everything else that we're doing. And it's signed right now, the canal is working overtime to increase its water supply, increase its strength of the canal itself, increase all the other activities they have going over there, which is a lot already, by looking for other ways that we can add to our business. And this is a good one. So, all right, this is out there, and they can finance this themselves if they want to, but they have to have the government's approval. They're part of the government. The government's going to approve it if they can make the case for it. Of course they will, because they've done so well over the past. So, just mentioning that could be something very special and very new, and maybe faster than a lot of other things that could be built. Okay. So, and I wanted to also add a few things about what I plan to do. A message will go out on the readership or the membership who are signed up at Retirement Wave, how I'm going to be dealing with things in the future, because things do have to change. And it's been a lot of work here, and I've tried out things and making up my mind and so on. Plus, I've got more things being brought to my attention that I have to do than I expected to have. So I'm still working on them all. What I'm thinking of doing, this is just tentative, is instead of the sort of scattering about of having the occasional YouTube video up, sometimes with 5 days between them, or sometimes with 3 weeks between them, and this sort of stuff, it has so much to do with my schedule that I thought I'm thinking of cutting back to one video a month. That was a fairly detailed one, maybe 20, 30 minutes, covering a lot of items for that month. And that would be added by special videos, short ones, if and when I thought there was a specific issue I was getting a lot of questions about, or which was obviously very important, that needed to be mentioned to the membership, that I would go out and do a special video. It would be shorter and very, very focused on a given issue. So that would reduce the number of videos. But then have moved it over to Vimeo, which is another platform for videos. I leave the one here, I suspect, for a while, but I'm going to move a lot of that over there for the simple reason that I can get it done. Well, I'll show you. You can do it without advertising, and it costs me more money, but I can do that. And that's what I've been planning to do anyhow, but I have to deal with yet another website, which I started a few months ago, called a Substack. My Substack is not about Panama. It is much more general, it's global in scope. It's not left-wing, it's not right-wing, and no wing here, but it has opinions. The work that I've done is global analysis for a long, long time. I'm very carefully walking in and discussing topics with people because there's so much emotion out there. And please remember, this is not an American site, and we're not just talking about Americans. We got Canadians, they have their own challenges. A lot of European countries too. We have lots of Europeans. We have a growing number of Asians and so forth. So and of course other Latin Americans who are interested in coming here. I have Latin American visitors too, and subscribers. So the sum result of all of this is that I'm talking to you as a group, because I always do, whether you're aware of that or not. That is the truth. And I want to be able to bring up other topics that have global implication and help people get through it. This is futures analysis. This is what I've been doing for a long time. I didn't call it geopolitical particularly, but it's futures analysis. And it is geopolitical to a certain extent now, along with other things. But what I try to do at my Substack is help people work their way through it and understand what's happening. In other words, I'm not appalled or frightened. I'm not frightened at all of something like artificial intelligence or genetics or whatever. They exist. They are going to exist for the rest of our lives. We need to understand them. Of course, they need to be controlled. Of course, we need to be careful with things. A lot of people know this. A lot of work's being done on it. But I explain to people that try to hide from it and ignore it because it scares you. It shouldn't. So I try to show both examples of where it could go wrong, which we have to be aware of, but also where it can and does go right, where it's used properly, and why, as a result, it's going to be common for a long time. And they can either ignore it, or they can deny it, or they can support whatever your heart desires or their heart desire. but I wanted them to be as informed as they could, and I want to come up with some suggested solutions to how to deal with it, because I think it's going to be a rocky period for some years. I'll leave it at that, and I'll talk more about that there, because that's what I always focus on, is the future. So if you want to, I did this once before. I'll put down the Substack's web address below in the description. You go take a look at it. Listen to me, please. It's a Substack is one of these things where you have a free subscription, you have one for a weekly amount of money, you have one for an annual amount of money, and then what they call a foundation, which is a really large sum of money, but those are people who really at the beginning wanted to just help me get this up and off the ground. You have to have one. I think I can maybe get rid of the foundation one at some level. It's just sort of embarrassing, but it isn't. I mean, people actually in good faith did, and they made it all the difference. So that's what got it off. It looks bad, I think, when you go in. I'm so cheap. I'm cheap on your behalf too. However, if you're going to be looking at it, I strongly recommend getting the free one and taking a look and seeing whether or not this is anything that interests you. If you want to show some kind of support, then I'm very, very thankful for that, but I suggest you go for the $7 a month, the monthly fee, because that's something that's very quick and easy to unsubscribe, and it just stops when the money runs out and everything else. The annual, why do that until you've had a chance to take a look at it? What I've just said right now is absolute poison to anybody who's running a Substack. I would be told that I was crazy, okay? I've always been trying to be straight and honest with you about these things, and I have never asked you for money. So that's why there most certainly will be a free portion there. It already is. The majority of my current membership is free. At the moment, much of it is open to them and everything else. Eventually, soon, the paid subscribers will have the ability to comment, for example, on anything that comes up, whereas only on occasion for the free. But the free people will get to see all the reports and the videos. If there's anything special that goes on, that might be limited to paying members and so forth. But that's like the same it is everywhere. Patreon, Ghost, which is another one of these series, a whole pile of others, and of course Substack. There are over 20,000 Substacks, and we're all tied together in one huge system. And it has to operate in a particular fashion. So I have limited power over what I can do in terms of subscriptions. And I was going to eliminate the annual subscription. And nope, that's not right, because they also take a portion of it, not much, but it's there to provide the backup services. They take care of all the financial stuff. I don't have to even think about it. If you have a credit card problem, it's with them. It's Stripe, which is the big, huge monster of a company that handles the collection of money. It's like this for all sorts of websites and organizations around the world. It's gigantic. I think it's in the Netherlands where it's centered. So they have to set it up so they have a fighting chance of being able to cover their back-end expenses, and I understand and approve, okay? They have to, but you don't have to, all right? So that's all I'm going to say on the topic. If you don't want to see it, don't worry about it. But all of this I will talk about separately in a letter to the Retirement Wave membership when it's more or less set in stone and there's something to come up that it's final. It's not final yet. So I am still working on it, and Lord knows. But when I know, you'll know as well. But today, at least nothing else, it can give you an idea of what it might look like for this sort of, for Retirement Wave and for this sort of thing in the future. It's possible. I want to retain the free delivery, though, to those who want it for free. And the written stuff, the reports from Panama, of course they're going to go out to everybody. Enough. You got the idea. So thank you very much for stopping by and for putting up for all this. This is the bits and pieces, sort of pulling things together as we get on after the delivery of the report from Panama, which I hope, if you haven't read yet, you'll have a chance to take a look at. Thank you for stopping by.